Alright, what's up everybody, my name is Sen, welcome back to the channel, and a while back, Polygon released a video talking about getting started with fighting games.
For a long time, I'd look at fighting games and I'd say, that looks so cool, but I don't think it's for me.
As far as I'm concerned, this video was super well received across the board.
I think this video is fantastic. I think it's really great, and it's important to understand that those are the things that will get you into fighting games.
And let me just say, man, this video is evergreen. It's just one of those ones that is going to be a solid watch, probably till the end of YouTube and time itself. If you haven't watched it already, please do. So what I wanted to do for this video was apply the same logic behind Polygon's video to 2XKO, which someone tried to correct me in one of my recent videos saying it wasn't pronounced 2XKO. It very much is from the literal mouth of the executive producer, Tom Cannon.
Hey all, Tom here, executive producer of Riot's upcoming TV2 tag fighter 2XKO.
I actually wanted to make this video because there's going to be a lot of new people getting into fighting games with the release of Project L. I actually know one of them. It's Brandon. Brandon is one of my very best friends, and he's played and like messed around with some fighting games, but he's never really gotten into one. He was talking about giving it some real effort with the release of Project L, which I hope is the case. The game looks like a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to getting my hands on it as well. But with that out of the way, let's talk about the step-by-step of Polygon's video and attempt to apply it to Project L.
Step 1. Decide you want to do it.
Now, as simple and as much of a no as this sounds, the decision to start has to directly be from you. It's totally possible that someone that likes fighting games as much as myself tried to rope Brendan into playing Project L. It might just not take. Got him. Krillin puts in work, fam. I mean, even with my roommate Cody, shout out to our shared channel DualShock, Cody over the last couple of years has found himself like wildly in love with Dragon Ball and the whole Dragon Ball franchise, and is very much looking forward to when Sparking Zero drops. If you are that friend that wants your friends to get into fighting games, the best thing you can do is just show them some cool stuff about the game, and hopefully it takes, but you can't really force them to get into the games. Massive point from Pat on this one is to watch some matches, because showing off something like an EVO top 8 can get someone super hype.
This might be it, guys. As the king returns, as the Marvel god has returned to his throne, I think we're gonna see it. The return of the king. I'm not even gonna knock it yet. I'm not even gonna. Oh my God! He just takes it! He takes it!
I definitely also recommend getting into potential content creators as well. Finding content creators around the things that you're curious about is huge. I actually remember when I was getting serious about Dragon Ball, the huge content creators for me was Dododoya and JM Cross. And now JM doesn't even really cover fighters anymore. Times have changed, man. Step 2, pick a game. Since we already have the game in question, I did want to actually ask you guys if you guys had any alternative names to 2XKO. A lot of people don't like the name. It is what it is. We ourselves can't change it, but I figured it'd be cool to brainstorm cool ideas that we could call the game. Some people recommended just continuing to call it Project L, but in a prior video I had called it Tag Legends. I just wanted to hear if you guys had any ideas as well. One of the major things Pat actually mentions is to consider a game with rollback. And I absolutely agree to this, but also in addition to that, I recommend a game with rollback with a decent amount of populace. It's only going to be easier for you to find players of your own level if a game is populated. With that said though, if it's a game you're passionate about, it won't really matter in the long run anyways. You will get over the hurdles as long as you're motivated to play the game. I'm really looking forward to Hunter x Hunter Net Impact, but I don't know if the game is going to be an outright flop. I know something like Street Fighter 6 or Tekken 8 is going to have a solid player base for the lifespan of the game up until the follow-up title drops. Something I actually wanted to pitch to you guys throughout the course of this video, if you are newer to fighting games, is that if you can pick up a game before the release of Project L, I would recommend doing so if you have the means. If not, it is what it is. More on that later though. Alright, step 3, gearing up. This actually just talks about the things that you'll need when it comes to actually playing the fighting game, such as a PC or console, and just whatever type of controller. Do we know if Project L is going to be on console? It is. And I feel like I remember hearing something about it being crossplay. If it's not, let me know in the comments below. I would love to have that addressed. The only thing I recommend on whatever console that you're playing on is that it also works on PlayStations as well if you plan on competing. Most tournaments are ran on PlayStation hardware, so as long as you have a controller that works on PlayStation or a converter, you're good. Easily the largest point Pat makes here is to not gear gate yourself. Holy Fuck, man. This isn't even just related to fighting games as well, but so many people put one thing away from them doing whatever it is that they want to do. Like streaming is actually a big one. It's like, oh, dude, as soon as I get a webcam, I'm going to start streaming. And then they get that webcam. And then it's like, you know, my setup ain't right now. You know, I got to get this thing. My mouse has been acting on the fritz. I think I'm going to get some more posters for the background here. Just fucking do it. Just do it. More to the actual point of controllers themselves is at the highest level, there's players that use every peripheral. There's stick players, hitbox players, controller players. I mean, if you're really trying to fight the whole controller thing that you feel you need to get a stick to perform well at the game, look no further than Punk and Sonic Fox. I mean, they're some of the best respective fighting game players in the field right now, and they both play on controller. Stop making excuses. Just play. Somewhat related to step 3 is step 4, pipe check. Honestly, having okay internet is decent enough, especially with the rollback solutions getting better for each game that comes out, or at least being as solid as they have been. I mean, Guilty Gear Strive, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, Tekken's netcode has been pretty decent as far as I'm concerned. So you might not need amazing internet, but having really good internet is only going to make your good matches even better. Step 5, choose your fighter. I don't think any of you guys are going to have any problems with this when it comes to Project L. I'm pretty sure you guys already have your eyes on certain characters anyways. As mentioned in this step, don't pick whoever the Ryu is in this game unless you're actually genuinely curious to play them. Do right by you. Don't pick up a character that you don't want to play just because you think it's going to teach you the basics of the game. It's very possible that you might be picking up things that aren't even important towards your character that you actually want to play. Maybe in this game it'll be something like a character like Yasuo or Ari, but the main thing here is that motivation is important. I actually wanted to make a video with Cody because I've had him mess around with a little bit of Street Fighter in the past, and he pretty much immediately defaulted to Ryu. But it's very possible that Ryu might not be the character he vibes with the best. It's just easy to pick Ryu. Subscribe to DualShock. The big thing is motivation. If you're not motivated to play the character, or in this case characters, you're not going to be motivated to play the game. Another one of my best friends, Vince, has been having a really tough time with Street Fighter 6 because he doesn't know who he's motivated to play, and he's not exactly a noob. A character you fuck with goes a longer way than you might think.
Raiden, show me who did it. She kinda bad though. Is that Frost?
Step 6, learn how to play. Probably start with a tutorial. This is where a lot of you might get hung up, and I could go about this one for hours. A massive difference maker between someone new who does and does not stick with the game can potentially be someone's willingness to actually learn the game. Learning a fighting game can be one of the most rewarding experiences probably in gaming. I'm just gonna put this out there right now. You will not have the same leaps and bounds when it comes to learning when you first start compared to when you're much later on in your career. It's going to get a lot more granular. Learning something as simple as like an anti-air or even just your first frame trap is going to take you a long way at the beginner levels. It's really simple stuff initially that gets you leveling up super fast. When you're actually at the height of your game, it's going to be things much more akin to, man, if I didn't dry rush 30 seconds ago, I wouldn't be burnt out in the corner right now. That's not an exact one-for-one example, but if you're familiar with what I'm talking about, you know what I mean. What I would recommend on this, and you don't have to follow anything I'm saying, is learn some basic things about your character and or characters. Like your anti-air, what some of your buttons do, and then a basic combo, and then go and play. You, as much as people edgewise believe, do not need to spend 500 hours in training mode before you can start playing the game. Now with that, we do live in the information era of video games, so if you want to look up a guide for whatever character or characters you're playing, by all means do so, as long as it's of your own inclination. I've played a ton of Guilty Gear, Street Fighter, and now a decent amount of Tekken, and I haven't looked up a guide yet. Would they have helped me? Yeah, probably, absolutely. But that's just not how I play the game. Like I said, I could spend all day on this. Step 7, fight. It's time to rumble, baby, and man, this is where the good stuff is, man. There's not a greater feeling in fighting games than when it's just a straight up even match. This is why I'm gonna recommend probably ranked matches more than anything. It's totally okay to play casual matches too. The major benefit of casual matches is that hopefully in whatever game you're playing it has infinite rematch, so it can be helpful to grind out a matchup or something you're looking to specifically learn or incorporate. Now with that said, you might be asking, what about arcade mode? Arcade mode is also useful as well. The biggest thing I would say it's the most helpful with is getting more and more comfortable with your characters, but with that said though, fighting a computer is not like fighting a human. You are going to get away with stuff that you would not be able to against a computer, that you wouldn't be able to against a human, and vice versa. The biggest thing it might give you is confidence. Man, a part of that, step 8, struggle. This is about as relatable as it gets, to be honest. You're gonna run into countless struggles unless you just kind of have some natural talent at this, and even then you will eventually hit a roadblock inevitably. As a newer player, it's probably just going to be some minor revelation that's going to have you step your game up to the next level. Let me just say you're undoubtedly going to have your rough days. All of a week ago or so, I was doing some Street Fighter bootcamp stuff with my friend Peter. Shout out to Peter. He's been giving me mini coaching sessions on Street Fighter to kind of help me on my way to master. And for the most part, it's been going pretty well, I would say. But I had one day in particular where I was just going through it, man. Everything I was doing wasn't working, and everything my opponents were doing was hitting me. I've literally never lost so many points in Street Fighter in one time. But I was probably just tired because we were doing that session in the morning, and all it took was for me to boot up the game later in the day, and I went on an absolute tear. I'm pretty sure I gained more points than I lost that day. Step 9, community and competition. Pat sums it up really nicely here. Find a place in the fighting game space where you like to exist. More on the competition side that I'd absolutely like to recommend if you have the means of, well, having this, is a training partner, man. When Vince and I would throw down on some Eunice, we would play all day on that game. First to 10, 20, 50, 100s. Having someone that you constantly compete with is going to keep pushing you guys to the next level where you just keep one-upping each other, and it's going to make you guys really good at the game. There is a caveat to that where you might fall into some of your training partner's bad habits, but as long as you are playing outside of that as well, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. With that said though, you can make fighting game players your friends, but you can't make your friends fighting game players. I've been having to struggle with that concept for a while. This someone in question, for whoever it may be, it might be one of your best friends, it might be a close friend, it might be a new friend that you made at work or whatever. They need to find their own reason to fight. You can't make it for them. Step 10, there is no end. God, man, this is like such a beautiful conclusion in a way. Like, there's no better bow on top of like the present that is fighting games. This is the end of you getting started, but it's far from the end of your journey potentially. It goes as long or as short as you want it to. You can play fighting games for the rest of your life if you have the inclination. And it's beautiful because it's something that can't be perfected. There is and will always be something to hone and get better at. It's one of the reasons I love fighting games as much as I do, and for how not amazing I am at them. Even though this video has been as long as it has, there's one more thing I want to pitch to you guys, and it's based around picking up a fighting game before Project L. I've absolutely recommended this to Brandon because you're 100% going to run into struggles along your way. And another game might help you get over some of these hurdles that you might struggle with later when the game comes out. So essentially it's to have a leg up. With that said though, if there's not really a game you vibe with, once again, I can't force you to pick something up. If you have the inclination to do so, pick up a Street Fighter, pick up a Marvel vs. Capcom, pick up Tekken, whatever. It's tough jumping into a new genre you're not super comfortable with, so being familiar with some things is going to have you much better off than if you're fresh-faced. Doesn't matter if you don't, no. Especially if you have the motivation to improve. That's going to be the deciding factor here. That's the thing that made me as good at Dragon Ball FighterZ as I was. With all that out of the way, I hope you're looking forward to Project L as much as I am. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys want to see more, check out the rest of the channel. In the description, there's links to not just my channel, but my friend's channel as well. Anyways, I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.